Hi, my name is Megan Holmes, and we will be looking at the education here in Sri Lanka. First, we're going to take a look at where all the primary schools are. Education in Sri Lanka has a 97.5% primary enrollment rate. Sri Lanka has achieved nearly universal primary school enrollment, which varies little across province or gender. The proportion of pupils starting grade 1 who reach grade 5 has increased to almost 100% in 2006-2007, and this performance in education is universal, including the estate sector in the East Province, which is pretty impressive. So we're going to take a look at primary schools in the Eastern Province too. The achievement is reflected in the youth literacy rate in the country. Literacy level of 15 to 24-year-olds in all regions has also increased during 2003 to 2006. It has crossed 95% across all sectors and for both males and females. So the overall literacy is 95.7, and for males it is 94.8%, and for females it's 96.6. Now we're going to drag over and take a look at the more rural area here in the Eastern Province in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka has done well in providing universal access to basic education. Now the focus should be on improving the quality of education and improving educational outcomes in the remote areas and in the post-conflict areas. And conflict could have been things like the civil war that was going on for many, many years in Sri Lanka. So here you can see all those little yellow dots are different schools within that rural area of the Eastern Province. And now we're going to be moving on to the Madhya Mahavidyalaya schools, which are central schools. Kanagra led the establishment of the Madhya Mahavidyalaya schools in different parts of the country, and they were designed in order to provide education to Sri Lanka's most rural children. So right now we're going to be looking at that after we've looked at the colleges. It's just some more colleges here in Sri Lanka. As you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, there's a lot of different options, and there's also a lot of different options we'll be looking at later of just girls' schools. So we're going to zoom in here on the Nalanda College in Colombo, which is the capital of Sri Lanka. So you get kind of an idea of where that is. That's a Buddhist school. As you can see, it has a kind of nice facility. It's a pool, and it looks like a school you'd see maybe in the US even. Okay, now for the Madhya schools. In 1942, a special education committee proposed extensive reforms to establish an efficient quality education for the people, and that was the Madhya Mahavidyalaya schools. And so you can see we have an example of one in Sri Lanka right there at the little A. Okay, so after that, in the 1980s, they changed the system and saw the separation of the administration of schools between the central government and the provincial government. And as a result of that came about the national schools, which are controlled directly by the Ministry of Education. We're going to take a look at that right now. And the provincial schools by the provincial government. So that's an example of a national school. Sri Lanka has approximately 9,675 government schools, 817 private schools, and Privenas, The number of public universities in Sri Lanka is 15. However, lack of responsiveness of education system to labor market requirements, disparities in access to quality education, lack of an effective linkage between secondary and tertiary education remain major challenges for the education sector. A number of private degree awarding institutions have emerged in recent times to fill in these gaps, but still the participation at tertiary level education hovers around 5.1%. The proposed private university bill has been withdrawn by the Higher Education Ministry after universal students' heavy demonstrations and resistance.